this or perhaps watching this because the videos are now on Spotify. Speaking of love, look what is in my face. It's a Valentine's balloon, half deflated. It's like this is what love holding on to love looks like. Not quite ready to throw away because it's still floating, right? But it definitely isn't a full balloon, vibrant in the air. It is just kind of floating middle middle of my face. Anyway, all right. Love is an energy, a life force, a constant, like air or gravity, always present, always pulling. Just because we aren't actively, quote unquote, in love doesn't mean love isn't there. Can I just repeat that? Because I think so many feel like because they're not in love that the love is lost or gone. Just because we aren't actively in love doesn't mean that love isn't there. It's an ever present force, always attracting, always healing. This is the greatest misunderstanding about love. It finds us not just to thrill us, but to heal us, right? And this is why love is greater than its parts. Because here's the catch: it's messy, it's complicated, and often uncomfortable. And I'm reminding you of this because most of us, as we've been programmed to see love as exciting and filled with dopamine and dreamy, and love is the thing that we skip work for, cut class for, hide under the bleachers for. I don't know, depending on where you went to high school. If you went to high school in a small town, most likely, right? But yeah, I feel like love has always been glossy and we were sold that. And so when we get into a relationship and it's messy and complicated and often uncomfortable, we feel that we're not in love or that this love isn't for us, right? And then we lose the opportunity to actually grow and heal, which is what love is really about. And I got to say, it's not the only thing it's about because, of course, love is also intimacy, connection, sex and pancakes, and all the other things, butterflies, like all that is love too, right? I don't want to dismiss those parts of love. But we were sold the idea that if the love is pure and strong, everything should line up, right? But in reality, love is messy, complicated, and activating. It's supposed to be. That's where the growth soil exists. Love without conflict is not love. That's a commercial. Sugar instead of protein. And since we've been programmed to chase the dopamine high, I definitely have, and trace the glossy posters instead of exploring truth, our wounds, wiring, and dysfunction, we are fast to exit when things get hard. How much of this resonates with you? So I don't know if you're in a relationship now or the relationship you've been in. Ask yourself if you find yourself still tracing posters or if you have defined love this way. You know, if you're in a relationship, I gotta challenge you if you are still tracing posters, because it wasn't until I was about 46 where I started to lean into the discomfort. And in one of the books that I co-wrote with my partner Vanessa, there's a chapter about finding beauty in the contrast. And that's an example of me leaning into discomfort because the contrast I thought was a sign to exit. The contrast I thought was telling that maybe we shouldn't be together because it wasn't like the other ones, right? Um, the contrast was actually an exercise for me to find beauty in differences. And by doing so, I learned to stretch. And listen, I'm not saying that things are great and perfect, and I mean, I still have struggles, and I'm sure she does too. Um, but finding the beauty in the contrast, right? That's what got me to actually grow, and that's what gives me new lenses today. You know, it also gets me to put weight on different things when it comes to love and relationships. The ability to find beauty in the contrast also gets you to accept your partner instead of trying to change your partner. I think everything begins here. I think everything begins with this idea that love is formless, it's an energy, and love isn't defined by just chemistry or the shine or dopamine. And I think many of us, I'm very guilty of this. From early years, maybe, I mean, I guess early as high school, but even like in our 20s on, I think we've been putting way too much weight on love as the thing that's supposed to knock our knee high socks off. You know, love as something that we get obsessed about, love as the magical weekends and the amazing sex and the I can't stop thinking about this person. You know, all of that can be included, but those things alone is not love. Those things alone isn't going to give your relationship legs or the wings it takes for your relationship to fly. I think all of that is part of love, you know. And listen, I don't think that love should be love without those things, right? I don't think we should just get into a relationship because it makes sense or because it's healthy. That's not enough either. Of course, we want butterflies, attraction, what I call sex and pancakes. Because do you also not crave pancakes after sex, especially at night? I am all after sex. I'm in the fridge making pancakes for some reason. Anyway, that should also be part of love, of course, right? And love should be complicated, messy, layered, activating. The activation, the contrast. Um, that there's so much rich soil there, and many people, because of the activation, run. Because of the activation, they react, and they don't let love heal them. Instead, they get into another relationship where they're less activated, right? So instead of working through what they need to work through to heal and to connect to self and understand self better, uh, they feel the activation and they bounce because it's uncomfortable, because it's hard. And then they find someone who doesn't activate them as much, you know? So there's less lifting, less heavy lifting, and then of course that relationship doesn't have wings or legs because it's not built on the substantial, but maybe it's built on something fleeting like feelings and attraction. And then they just kind of go through this pattern of finding people who they're maybe attracted to but not building a sustainable relationship, and at the end of the day not giving themselves a corrective experience where love starts to heal them. So whether you're in a relationship now or you are single working on yourself, you got to start redefining love. You got to start thinking about not just what you want, you know, toss the checklist, but you got to start asking yourself what kind of corrective love experience you want. I think at the end of the day, that is the goal. That is convincing not just your mind, but your body that things can be different, that through love you can heal, you know? And also, you know, because we're sold this happily ever after, um, which is another misconception, don't you think that the corrective experience or love with legs and wings is going to be your best chance at quote unquote happily ever after? Don't you think that if you have the ability, both people, to repair ruptures and to stay in it when things get hard and complicated and messy and activating, don't you think that's going to produce the kind of glue that's required for the happily ever after? You know, I don't believe in the forever. I don't think anything in life is forever. You know, especially after the recent events in my life where our house burned down. Um, I'm not saying that relationships can't last forever. Of course they can, but I don't hold on to that. I don't see that as the golden crown, right? What I think is the most important isn't how long a relationship lasts, but how people change and are healed and grow and evolve through the collision, through the relationship. So whether that relationship is 3 years or it's 20 years, it doesn't matter. Um, or at least to me, it's not about the duration. It's about people learning and growing through each other. It's about you understanding yourself. It's about um, the love that two people create being greater than its parts, you know? And also, I gotta say that love can evolve and change, and people can want different things. And I think that the container that you guys have built, as long as it's honest, it can hold those things. And listen, if it can't, if two people are evolving and growing and they're very different than who they were when they met, that's okay too. That's life. And if that relationship that's healthy can't contain that or can't hold that, then to me, then that relationship has expired. And people have to be honest, and they have to really ask themselves that is it their truth, or are they giving up, not working on themselves? But if it really is their truth and both people are aligned, and that relationship isn't holding both truths anymore, it's okay that the relationship has expired. I feel like life is too short, right? I'm not saying to give up. I'm not saying to, to throw in the towel fast. Um, I actually think that, especially today, most people quit too soon. But I'm just saying, if two people have grown and drifted and the relationship is no longer honest, um, then that's also love. That love can change. Just because um, it's no longer romantic love doesn't mean that there's no love there. Going back to the beginning of this episode, love is an energy. Love is formless. Love changes. Love evolves. Thank you for listening. I hope today was a reminder or a challenge um, for you to constantly reevaluate and look at love through different lenses and change and grow as your definitions of love change and grow. Thank you for listening. Be well.